Okay, let's learn a very quick and efficient way how to create images for the Dized rules. Now, almost every rule in Dized will need to have some image in it so that they are easier to interpret. Depends of course on the rules. Now, you are free to create the images any way you wish. You can use Photoshop or Google Slides or just use the assets that the publisher has provided. But there is another way which is very efficient and simple way how to create them, and then you don't need to spend a time in an image editor. That is by using the Dized Tutorial Editor. Let's first have a look. So I have a rule here which is called Place Warlord in Babylon, and I want to have a image for this so that the players will see what is Babylon, what is Warlord, and so on. Now I could use Photoshop to this, but it would take some time. So typically what I do is I create the rules as a very first thing when I get to know the game, so I understand the rules better, and I just create these template images in them, so which I will fill in later. Now after the tutorial is completely done, then I will return to this and start putting the image together, and this is why. So let's hop into the tutorial editor. Now the rule was to set the warlord in Babylon. So I want to take this image and use that in the rules. Now I'm gonna center this and use it here. So this could be a step in your tutorial already. You don't have to recreate this. This could be taken from the flow that you are already working with. But in this example I just created this. Now if I would use this, you can see that the background image is either blue or whatever you set it to be. So a very handy way of doing it is to go to globals, and in the background use the test column for this, and then I have a white background for rules images, which is just a completely white background. Let's upload it here, and let's use that here in the test bracket. Let's save this and close. Now why this is important to use the white one is basically two reasons. So when you are working with the rules, it's good that they don't, like, the graphic doesn't cut off. The white background one looks a whole lot better. And the second one is, of course, if you're working with the flow already, that these steps are already done, when you just change the test values to the white background, you don't have to worry about the created background that you have in your tutorial. So now you can see that the background is white, and now I can screen capture, for example, this spot. There is a Windows screen capture. It's a Shift, Windows, and S. There's also a shortcut for Mac users, but for Windows it's Shift, Windows key, and S. So I'm gonna save this. Here, let's call it Warlord. There we go, and let's go back to the editor. Now we'll just upload it here. This is the Warlord. And it's uploading. I could save these as JPEGs as well, so they don't take as much space, but that was just a default setting I had. And waiting for it to upload. Let's reload if there was some issue. And there we go. That's the Warlord, and I set it there, and then I have the image. And that is a very quick way of creating images to rules. I use these in all of my tutorials. Now one thing I want to note, when you're using your actual steps in the to take the screen captures with, you will have subtitles in them. Typically, there's some subtitle, for example this, like that, and a few lines. And the problem is that when you take the shot, you will have the subtitle black dark border and the text there. So what you might end up with is having to create a duplicate and keep it as is. And then when you have the duplicate, you can then remove the subtitles from it, and then you don't have to retype them. Of course, another way that you can do it is just to move, for example, the subtitle to the notes, go take the screenshot, and when you're done with it, just paste it. But the problem, of course, is that you also sometimes need to move the camera, and then your angle is messed up. So what I typically do when I take screenshots from blocks that are in the flow, I do a copy, I remove the subtitle, find the angle I want to work with, and when I'm done with that and I've taken the screenshot, then I either delete the block or set it aside for later use if I need to take more screenshots from that block. So there are a few ways, of course, to do this, but typically I kind of do a hybrid. I do have a one shot that I just pan around, I take the images I need, and sometimes I use the blocks in the flow to do this. But still, the best way to take shots is using the tutorial editor, and do this after you have completely done the tutorial. So putting images in rules would be the last thing you do. There we go.